Hello everyone, my name is Smurfy and today I'm bringing you the 6.1 Discipline Priest Healing Guide. Alright, first of all I want to say sorry that it's taken me a few days to put this out. I've been very busy with school and other things and also my other guides to put out, so I am finally putting this out today. Hopefully it's still relevant enough for you guys to make use of it. What we're going to do today is talk about the class changes, then we're going to go into talents and glyphs, then we're going to talk about the stat priority, gems and enchants, the tier set bonuses, playstyle changes, and then we're going to finish with macros and add-ons. Alright, so let's get into it. So I have a very nice notepad document here that has all the changes in this patch that relate to Discipline Priests. So the first thing that happened, we got a nerf to our powered shield. It absorbs 10% less damage. That's, I think that was needed. Our shields are a little bit too overpowered, or they were at the time, so give them a little bit of a nerf. That's probably okay. I've been raiding with our main Disc Priest, and he's been still doing decent output. He's still been top of the charts, so don't worry about this too much. You'll still be doing decent healing. It's not going to put you back too much. It's just a little bit of a balancing change. Alright, so talents are the other thing that changed, and before I get into this, I just want to mention the developer commentary that went into the talent changes. And basically what they said was they're trying to balance each talent so that whatever playstyle you prefer will not set your group back. They don't want every single talent to be useful in every situation, but they do want you to be able to take a talent that you want and feel like you're not bringing your group down by using it. So what that does is it just makes my job hard of what to tell you to take. However, for discipline, not many things change, so we don't really have much to switch out of from my last guide. So Cascade may now hit the same target twice. This does result in an increase to total healing, so its healing has been reduced by 35%. That's really nice, actually. That's really nice, especially in smaller raids, to have that hitting the same target twice, even if it has been reduced by 35%. That is a total increase in healing, so that's definitely something, if you like Cascade, to consider to keep using. Halo got basically a visual rework. It now displays an indicator on the ground to make it easier for the priest to see where it is most effective, and its visual effect has been synchronized, so a character will receive the effect when the Nova intersects with them. So that's really interesting. I'm not much of a Halo fan. I mean, I am a Halo fan, but not a Halo fan. And I'm not a fan of this talent, but this might be interesting if you like taking this talent, and I would definitely consider the new rework, and hopefully it helps you out quite a bit. Mindbender lasts for 20 seconds, up from 15. This is decent. However, as a Disc Priest, I prefer powered Solace 100%. So this doesn't affect us too much unless you don't like casting powered Solace every 10 seconds. This will be good for mana regen for you. So that's nice. Psychic Scream now has a 30-second cooldown, down from 35 seconds. Yeah, that's nice, I guess. It doesn't help us too much in the content we're rating, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Saving Grace's healing has been increased by 50%. However, it reduces future healing up dealt by 15%, and it is now instant cast, but its effectiveness is reduced in PvP combat. So this isn't exactly my favorite talent. I have tried it out. Even with the increase, it's clunky, and I don't think it's good for raid healing. It's probably a little bit better in PvP, but I don't like it. So that's that. And the last talent that changed, Void Tendril's health was increased by 30%. That's nice, I guess. It's another CC thing, so it doesn't matter too much. So all in all, we didn't have too much that changed to our playstyle. So let's talk about the talents. So getting into this, as you can see, I don't actually have any changes from my last guide except for this last tier. So I'm gonna go through this all real quick. Desperate Prayer just heals you for 22% of your maximum health. You can take this, or you can take Spectral Guise. Spectral Guise has its uses on fights like Iron Maidens when you take the focus shot or whatever it's called, you can just click it and no one has to stack or take damage. So that's a situationally good talent. In the second tier, there's really only one option, Body and Soul. It gives you a speed boost when you, or gives anyone a speed boost that you give a powered shield to for a few seconds. And since that's our main spell, that's really nice to have. Angelic Feather's okay if you are really good at placing it and predict where your group's going to move. That's nice for like mechanics that your group needs to avoid and you don't necessarily have a powered shield to put on them, I guess. I don't know. I still think Body and Soul is much better here. 45. Powered Solace is pretty much the way to go with this, since it stacks your evangelism and it restores mana to you, as well as healing, as well as healing a target. So all you do, you hit a target with it, it heals a nearby target, and it gives you a stack of evangelism, which of course is consumed by Archangel to increase our healing done by 5% for each stack, stacking up to 5 times. So that's something you want to have, and if you do use it on cooldown. Get something like, I'll talk about the add-ons a little bit later, but I use TellMeWhen to track that, to make sure you're using it every 10 seconds. So the other options, if you honestly don't have a single mana problem in the world and you really like having random procs on flash heals, take Surge of Light here, but I don't think that's useful at all for Disc Priest. We have way too much synergy with this Powered Solace talent. The only other thing is, if you don't want to cast that every 10 seconds, and if you think you're spending too much time worrying about that and not enough time worrying about healing, Mindbender has a 1 minute cooldown, and it basically restores almost the same amount of mana per minute as Powered Solace would. So consider that if you're a player that doesn't really like casting this all the time. Alright, so this tier is just CC stuff. It doesn't matter what you take. I'm not even going to talk about it. Of course, Psychic Stream did get that cooldown reduction, and Void Tendrils got a health buff, but it doesn't matter here. I'm using Dominate Mind. It's whatever. So tier 75. This is one that a lot of people are kind of like arguing over all the time. I still prefer Power Infusion because it does give us that little bit of a cooldown that we can use at times of burst damage. So that's what I prefer to run. Spirit Shell is also good for fights that you can predict incoming damage and just cast it to get everyone shielded up for incoming damage rather than just putting the heals on them and that sort of thing. So that's a very situational thing. Twist of Fate, I don't necessarily like this talent at all for Holy or Discipline, so I'm not even going to talk about it. It's just Power Infusion is pretty much what I prefer here. Level 90, so remember Halo got a visual rework, and Cascade can now hit the same target twice. So I've already been running Cascade. I've tried it out at least in my Holy spec for our raids this week, and it's still very nice. It's definitely a healing increase from what it was before, and it's very easy to just fire and forget about it. So that's what I'm going to keep running. Like I said, you can use Divine Star Halo if that's what you prefer. Divine Star requires a little bit more positioning skill on your part, and I don't necessarily want to worry about that too much when I'm healing. So that's why I use Cascade here. Halo, you know, it has that visual effect, but again, it's positioning. So that's what it is. So level 100. This is the one talent I did switch, and I'll explain that in a sec. So remember, Saving Grace got a buff here. However, it's just, I feel like it's just a PvP talent, honestly. It doesn't really help us at all for raiding. It's just a single target heal, instant cast. It's, I don't know. So what I used to run here was Clarity of Will, and I've since changed to Words of Mending. So what Clarity of Will does, remember, it's just basically an empowered version of Powered Shield that you have to channel. Now, both of these talents are good, don't get me wrong. Both of these talents are good. However, in a raid scenario, at least in our raids, at least in our group's makeup, we don't necessarily specify that our Disc Priest runs Clarity of Will, or we don't necessarily specify that he is set to the tanks, so it's much easier to have him just using Words of Mending to where he can just get heals going out and cast that and get Prayer Men just running around on everyone. That's just more, you know, healing going out for the group. Since it is a raid, it helps out with the raid healing, popping Words of Mending on everyone rather than just worrying about the tank. Our tanks are doing just fine with the amount of shields that he's had without Clarity of Will. So what I'm going to say about these two is Clarity of Will is more of a 5-man talent, where you can take that if you're just worrying about basically healing a tank, and then your group around you if they're taking damage as well. But Clarity of Will is definitely a 5-man thing, whereas Words of Mending is definitely what I would recommend for raids. So that's about it. Remember, anything you take is okay. Remember, the developer commentary said you can basically take anything. At least that's how they've balanced it, and not feel like you're bringing the group down just based on the playstyle you prefer. So this is my playstyle I prefer. Alright, Glyphs. Nothing changed. Nothing changed at all. They didn't nerf or buff anything. Glyph of Penance, Glyph of Holy Fire, and Glyph of Weakened Soul is what I'm still running. That's basically it for that. So, stat priority. Once again, nothing changed. Our stat priority is just like I said last time. However, I will say that some priests are challenging it and some priests are doing other things, and it is working for them. So what I told you last time was number 1 stat is intellect, number 2 is mastery, number 3 is crit, 4 is haste, and then whatever you can find after that. Where it gets weird is mastery versus crit. So let me remind you that we have where is it? Yeah, Divine Aegis here, where your critical heals put a shield on whoever you heal. So your crits will do that. However, your mastery increases the potency of all your damage absorption spells and all of your healing by 9%. So that's like basically all your heals are increased, including your shields, which includes Divine Aegis shields. So what I say is mastery is better, because not only is it increasing all of your healing and increasing your potency, it's also increasing what your crit shields do. So it's like they work very well together. Some priests have said that they just stack crit, and they just make sure to get as much of this as they can. But, I mean, I argue that because if you have all that crit, yeah, that's great, you have a ton of these shields, but they don't do much because you don't have the mastery to make them as powerful as they could be. But, like I said, it's really whatever you prefer. Both of these are very good. I'm just going to tell you that I think mastery is better than crit. So it'd be intellect, mastery, crit, haste, and then anything after that. You don't necessarily need spirit as a disc priest. Your mana, at least from what I've seen, mana problems are non-existent. So as long as you're using powered Solace or Mindbender, I suppose. So yeah, stat priority one more time: intellect, mastery or crit, haste, and then everything else. And when I say mastery or crit, I mean get one or the other. Don't go for both and make them both really like even but extremely low to like balance them out. You want to have a decent amount of one or the other, and mastery is probably one that you would want to have a very decent amount of. So yeah, that is the stat priority, and right off of that, gems and enchants. Basically put crit gems in. I don't have crit gems because I'm basically a holy priest, so I have multi-strike. Put crit gems in, or put mastery gems in, depending on which one of those stats do you feel is better. Alright, cool. So now let's talk about tier set bonuses. Since we are in Blackrock Foundry now, tier set bonuses actually mean something. So I currently have 3 pieces. So what this does for Discipline Priests, our 2-piece Penance channels for 1 additional second and generates 1 stack of evangelism. So, that's... I mean, take it as it is, but I don't necessarily care for it. It's whatever. It's cool that it does channel for an additional second. It's probably an extra tick for a heal or damage. So that's whatever. And then our 4-piece, when you activate Archangel, the mana cost of Prayer of Healing is reduced by 50% for 6 seconds. Whoa! That's a good one. So our 2-piece is kind of meh, but our 4-piece is really good. Like I told you in my gameplay video, a very good combo is when you get your 5 stacks for Archangel and activate it, and then basically just use Prayer of Healing on your group. If you just use Prayer of Healing, it does so much ridiculous damage, or not damage, healing, for the time used spending, or the time you've used channeling Archangel. So with the 4-piece, that's going to be even better because the mana cost is reduced by 50%. So that's going to be very nice. Like I said though, we don't necessarily have many mana problems, so that's just a little bit of a bonus, but it's not anything compared to the holy 4-piece and 2-piece. So I'm not too excited about running this, but it is decent. So if that's something you think you want to get, it's definitely dedication to get the 4-piece, because there are going to be pieces you find that aren't set pieces that are better than what you're wearing. So you have to make that decision for yourself if you really want that 50% mana cost reduction. I'm going for the set piece for my holy set, but I'm probably not going to be caring for it as disc. So that's all I'll say about that. Okay, so playstyle changes. Well, guess what? We don't necessarily have any. With the same talent setup as last time, minus Clarity of Will, we really don't have any changes. So what I'm going to tell you is, I'm going to put an annotation and a link in the description to my 6.0 Discipline Priest gameplay guide. You can go watch that. It's basically the same stuff, except in that video I have Clarity of Will instead of Words of Mending. So just remember that Words of Mending is going to be passively stacking based on every single heal you throw out, so you don't even have to worry about it. You just have one less thing to cast, which would be that Clarity of Will. Basically in raids, all you're doing is shielding. You're shielding, you're throwing up Cascade and Prayer of Mending, Penance, and Powered Solace on cooldown, using Archangel when there's a lot of damage going out and you need to have increased healing. Remember, you have your Prayer of Healing for group healing, and heal and flash heal as fillers. Yeah, Discipline's a very simple spec. Most of your time you're just going to be throwing shields out. That's really honestly all there is to it, other than these other 4 spells. It's a very simple spec. So once again, go ahead and check out my 6.0 gameplay guide. I decided I don't need to make a 6.1 guide since nothing has changed, so that one will take care of any questions you'll probably have about that. So the last thing I want to talk about is macros and add-ons. So macros and add-ons. If this is the first video you're watching from me, hello and welcome. But if not, then you'll know that I use Mouseover Healing macros for all of my spells. I don't use any UI add-on here. I just use the standard Blizzard frames with some customizations. I did make a guide on that, so if you're looking for UI help, go ahead and check that out as well. But yeah, I use Mouseover Healing for all of my heals. It's basically just put the macro on the bar, mouse over a target, and it heals them. It's very simple. So I'll put an example in this description for that. If you don't prefer to use Mouseover Healing, I will recommend you do use a Mouseover Leap of Faith macro. There'll be times when you don't have time to click on someone to use Leap of Faith, so you want to have that at least, as well as a Pain Suppression macro to make sure you have that going. Also, Powered Solace. Powered Solace, if you have if you're using this and you don't necessarily want to be targeting the boss or whatever you're fighting, but you still need to be using this on cooldown, well, a very easy way to do that is to make a focus macro, which I'll put in the description as well. Make a focus macro for this, and then you don't even need to be targeting him, and it'll still attack. It'll still attack as long as you have it as your focus. So definitely check that out. I'll put that in the description. And the same can be used for Smite. So just from this one that I'm going to put in the description, just change the words to Smite and you'll be fine. So that's about it, guys. I think I covered everything. If I missed something, please leave a comment if you have a question, that sort of thing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.